By 31, he had everything: two Super Bowl rings, a $280 million contract, a face on every billboard from Atlanta to Los Angeles, and a private life that was quietly burning to the ground. He knew it. He just kept thinking he could manage both. Samson thought the same thing. Saturday, week 13. The source: A West Side Story. Marcus Webb used to say, "God doesn't give gifts to reward you, he gives them to position you." The gift is never about you, it is always about what he intends to do through you. Darnell had preached that line twice since taking over at Westside. He believed it completely. He had never had to watch it proved the hard way until he met Sam Calloway. He grew up in the church, not Westside, a small Pentecostal congregation in Mobile, Alabama, where his grandmother played piano every Sunday and his mother sang in the choir, and Sam himself gave his life to Christ at age 9 during a revival that ran 4 weeks past its scheduled closing night. He was saved. He was genuine. Everyone who knew him then said so. He was also 6 feet 4 inches tall, had a cannon for a right arm, and could read a defense faster than anyone his coaches had ever seen. By the time he was 17, every major program in the country was calling. He chose Alabama. 3 years later, the Atlanta Falcons took him 3rd overall. The gifts multiplied in the NFL the way gifts do when they find their proper arena. He was not just good. He was different. The kind of player that made opposing defensive coordinators lose sleep on Thursday nights. The kind of quarterback whose teammates ran through walls for him because he ran through walls for them first. He was also, quietly and genuinely, a man of faith. He said so in every post-game interview. He meant it in every one. He never stopped believing. That wasn't the problem. The believing and the living had drifted apart. It started before the first Super Bowl. A woman he met at a charity event in Miami. Not his wife. He wasn't married yet then. Just a woman who was beautiful and available and moving in the same orbit of money and fame that he was moving in. He ended it after 3 months, prayed about it, felt genuine remorse, moved on. Then it happened again. Different city, different woman, same pattern, each time. Conviction, remorse, resolution, relapse. The cycle running quietly beneath the public life, beneath the post-game interviews and the charity work and the genuine faith he still carried, genuinely carried. That was the thing that made it so complicated. Beneath all of it, he never told his pastor, never told his agent, never told his teammates. He told himself what people always tell themselves when they are managing a secret. It's not that bad. I'm handling it. I'll stop when the season ends. I'll stop when I'm married. I'll stop when things slow down. Things never slowed down. He married at 28, Keisha, a woman who loved God, loved him, and had no idea what she was marrying into. He meant every word of his vows. He broke them within 14 months. The gift kept working. That was the problem. He went to the Pro Bowl. He won the second Super Bowl. The $280 million contract came through, and Sam Calloway knelt in his locker after the championship game, helmet in his hands, and felt something he had never felt before on a football field. Empty. The crowd was still roaring. Confetti was falling. His teammates were piling on top of each other 50 yards away. He knelt there and felt nothing. He did not know what was gone. He only knew something was. Her name was Vanessa Cole. She was not sent by anyone. She was not calculating. She was simply the latest in a pattern that Sam had never broken. A woman in the right orbit at the wrong moment, and a man who had spent 10 years proving he could not say no. But Vanessa was different from the others in one way that mattered enormously. She asked him about it, not the affairs. She didn't know about those. She asked about the emptiness. She had seen it in his eyes at a dinner in Houston 2 weeks after the championship. The thing underneath the smile, the thing the cameras never caught. "You don't look like a man who just won the Super Bowl," she said. "I'm fine," he said. "I didn't ask if you were fine. I said you don't look like what you should look like." He looked at her for a long time. Then he told her, not everything, not the affairs, but the emptiness. The feeling in the locker room. The way the gift kept working while the man carrying it was quietly going hollow. She listened without speaking. When he finished, she said something that nobody had said to him in 10 years of interviews and chapel services and post-game prayers. "When did you last talk to God? Not thank him for a win. Actually talk to him. Like he's real and he's listening and what you say matters to him personally? Sam opened his mouth, closed it. He could not remember. He started seeing her. He told himself it was different this time. He told himself she was helping him. He told himself a lot of things that sounded reasonable at 11 o'clock at night in a Houston hotel room. He didn't recognize it. Not yet. But she was asking the right question in the wrong context, and he was answering it. Really answering it. More honestly than he had answered anything in years. And the combination of real honesty and real sin was the most dangerous place he had ever been. A photographer. A parking garage in Houston. The photos were on 3 websites before Sam's publicist finished her morning coffee. By noon, Keisha had seen them. By 2 o'clock, she had packed. By 4, she was at her mother's house in Charlotte with their daughter and a statement through her attorney that said 3 sentences and meant it's over. By 6, Sam's agent called. By 7, the Falcons' owner called. By 8, his pastor from Mobile, the man who had baptized him at 9 years old, called and said nothing for 45 seconds, and then said, "Son, I love you. Call me when you're ready." Sam sat in his house in Atlanta, alone. The house that had been photographed for 3 magazines. The house with the trophy room and the chef's kitchen and the wall of windows looking out over the city. He sat on the floor of his closet. Not the living room, not the bedroom, the closet, the smallest space in the largest house he had ever lived in. He sat there until 2 in the morning. Then he picked up his phone and called the one person he hadn't called yet. He had heard Darnell Hayes preach 8 months ago at a conference in Dallas. He didn't know why he had kept the number. He knew why now. The phone rang 4 times. Then, "Hello? Pastor Hayes, my name is Sam Calloway. I don't know if you know who I am. I need..." His voice broke. "I know who you are," Darnell said. "I've been watching the news." "Where are you right now?" "My closet." A pause, then, "Stay there. Don't move. I'm coming." Darnell drove 4 hours from Atlanta to wherever Sam's GPS had put his house. He arrived at 6:15 in the morning. Sam opened the door, still in the same clothes he had been wearing when the photos dropped. They sat at the kitchen table. Darnell didn't bring a Bible, didn't bring notes, didn't bring anything except himself and 14 years of watching what happens to people who confuse the gift with the giver. Sam talked for 2 hours, all of it. The first woman in Miami, everyone after that. The vows he meant and broke, the hollow feeling in the locker room, the way the gift kept working while the man behind it went dark inside. Darnell listened to all of it without moving. When Sam finished, Darnell said, "Can I tell you something Marcus Webb told me?" "Who's Marcus Webb?" "The man who built Westside. He died 8 months ago. He told me, the gift is never the source. God is the source. The gift is just the shape the source takes in your particular life. When you separate the gift from the source, when you perform the gift without honoring the giver, you don't lose the gift immediately. That's the terrifying part. It keeps working. For a while, but you lose something underneath it. Something that was always more important than the gift itself." Sam was quiet for a long time. "How do you get it back?" "The same way you lost it. One conversation at a time, one honest prayer at a time, one day of actually showing up instead of performing." "And Keisha?" Darnell looked at him. "That's not mine to answer. That's between you and her and God. But I'll tell you this. Whatever she decides, the work is the same. You don't do the work to get her back. You do the work because you were made for it, because you were set apart for something specific and you've spent 10 years choosing everything else." Sam put his face in his hands. When he looked up, his eyes were wet. "I knew," he said. "I knew the whole time, every single time. I knew exactly what I was doing and I did it anyway." "I know," Darnell said. "That's what makes it a choice and not an accident. And that's also what makes repentance possible instead of just therapy." They prayed together at the kitchen table as the sun came up over Atlanta. Not a performance, not a pregame chapel, a man on the floor of his own failure calling on God from the bottom. Samson prayed like that once, at the very end, in the temple. Blind and shackled, God answered. He always answers that prayer. He did not play football that season. He took a leave of absence, something no quarterback with a $280 million contract had ever done. and spent 6 months in a counseling intensive, meeting weekly with Darnell, and living in a rented apartment 12 minutes from Keisha's new place in Charlotte. She did not take him back immediately. She made him wait. She made him earn it slowly, in small ways, without promises about the future. He waited. He earned. He did not make promises. The Falcons released him at the end of the season. He signed a 1-year deal with a team that had nothing to lose and a coach who had watched the 6 months and called Darnell before calling Sam's agent. He played. The gift was still there. Of course it was still there. Gifts don't leave when you fail. They wait. But something else was there now too. Something that had been absent for 10 years. The thing underneath the gift. The source running again, clean, through a man who had finally stopped pretending he could manage it alone. His teammates noticed. They always notice. Not because he said anything different in the locker room. Because he was different in the locker room. Not performing present. Samson killed more Philistines in his death than in his life. God doesn't waste the broken places. He builds the next chapter from them. Sam Calloway is still playing. Keisha is still deciding. Their daughter is 7 years old and calls her father every night before bed. The source is running again. For now, it was enough. You've been living off the gift, Darnell said, not the source. What gift has God placed in your hands that you have been performing without honoring the one who gave it? And what has that separation been costing you? Quietly, in the place nobody else can see. He answered Samson's prayer from a prison. He answered Sam's from a closet floor. He will answer yours from wherever you are right now, but you have to actually pray it. Next week, Ruth. 4 chapters. The most beautiful book in the Bible. A foreign woman who chooses loyalty when she has every right to leave. And a God working quietly in the background of an ordinary harvest season. See you then?